Was I hyping up PlayStation?
Yes,
Yeah,
I
we
love
kinda were.
PlayStation.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you want to connect that to a game you played on
PlayStation.
Switch,
Well, yeah.
I saw you on the eShopper.
Yeah. Well, DJ's full of shit because he's always looking for deals on the eShop.
Dude,
not nearly as well organized as the PlayStation Store.
Well, actually, the PlayStation Store is pretty
kinda
bad too. They're all terrible. And actually, I would wager PlayStation's worse just because they filter. It's really hard to filter out like the avatars and the bullshit. Hey everybody, welcome to Pursuing Pixels. This is episode number 27. My name's Kevin Portelli, and I'm here tonight with Randall Noldery.
Hey, everybody.
And DJ Mandolini.
hello, Kevin. Hello, Randall.
Hello, DJ.
We're missing John Hines this week. He's on his honeymoon in Lake Geneva, so we'll hopefully catch him next week. But we're back to talk about some video games. So, yeah, I think we can just dig right into it. Halloween just kind of came and went, and I know Randall's been digging into the game of the moment, or at least the game that I guess none of us are playing it other than Randall, but I'm definitely itching to. But why don't you dig into the newest Nintendo game per Pursuing Pixels fashion?
We have to have every Nintendo game on Pursuing Pixels. It's by law. Luigi's Mansion 3, developed by Next Level Games. Our friends that also made Mario Strikers, among
I
many
totally
other games.
forgot that they made have they made all the Luigi's Mansion games?
Yeah.
Nice. I didn't know that, I don't think.
Yep. I think they definitely made Dark Moon at the very least. I think that Nintendo may have developed just the original Luigi's Mansion on GameCube, but
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
That's good to know. Yeah, Strikers, I don't know if we've ever brought it up on the podcast, but the original GameCube Super Mario Strikers is still one of the best multiplayer games I've ever played.
Oh, absolutely.
Poured it.
Oh, seriously. Or make a new one.
Yeah.
One or the
please.
other. Get on to Next Level Games.
Anyways,
let
not
Nintendo
to
know.
tangent.
Anyway,
Yeah.
yes. That's what happens when you bring up Mario Strikers.
Yeah.
Luigi's Mansion 3, definitely apropos to release it during Halloween time, because I would consider this like a family-friendly horror game. So it's like, it's got those spooky, kind of dark, moody vibes, but it's still, it's kind of goofy too. It's Luigi with everything that comes with that, where Luigi as a character doesn't play up the normal like hero tropes. Like he finds himself a little scared, a little awkward. And that kind of comes through in the character of this game, where he's kind of, as he's opening doors, he's like hesitant about it and he's kind of shaking. He's so like afraid of what's around the other side of this door in this room that he knows he needs to explore. So it adds a lot to the personality of this game. You feel like you're watching like some sort of kids CGI movie sometimes when you're watching this, just because he emotes so much, which is a lot of fun. Have you guys played any of the Luigi's Mansion games before?
I have dipped into the GameCube one just a little bit. Like I probably played a couple hours or whatever, but I got stuck at some point and just moved on to whatever the next thing was. And
Sure.
I do own the 3DS one, but I've yet to boot it up, actually.
Okay.
It was just something I picked up because I was like, I want to play this eventually, and just haven't gotten around to it. But what about you, DJ?
I have never played a Luigi's Mansion game, which is kind of surprising because Luigi is definitely my favorite Nintendo character. Just
Nice.
one of the more humble characters.
Yes.
I'd say, obviously. But no, I never owned a GameCube, so I missed out on a lot of stuff from back then. So I just never got into it, and here I am, not knowing anything about my favorite character's franchise.
Yeah, this is his main deal. This is his game.
Yeah, and I like also I know you brought up like his kind of like cowering, like he's not the typical hero,
right?
Not playing those typical tropes, but I like his like they always bring like kind of a self-aware sense of humor to that character as well. Like they're kind of happy to poke fun at him a little bit, or sometimes tear him down a little bit. I mean, they really dig into Luigi in some of these games, but yeah, I like you said, it's like horror, but there's like that just charming kind of goofy quality to it as well.
when you press down on the D-pad, he says Mario. Like he's and you can press that as you need. So that's
at will.
It's pretty good. It's got so much character, and just I love playing as Luigi. I'm glad they gave him his own room to have his own game.
Yeah, and how's the gameplay in this new one? Like, is it similar to the first and the second game? Is it pretty much that's kind of the main reason I was
asking too. Is they're all really similar, if I'm being honest. You're kind of using your poltergeist, which is this vacuum, and you're doing a lot of vacuuming in this game, which is kind of fun too. It's like very environmental puzzle heavy. Like each room is kind of its own puzzle where you're kind of looking around it like I Spy of this looks a little weird over here. This chair looks like it could move, or it looks like there's a drape covering over this shelf that probably has some gold or coins or maybe even a secret gem underneath. So if I vacuum up that sheet that's covering it, that it's going to open up some new things, and maybe a spider pops up too that I have to battle with, but that's okay because I'm finding treasure. But that's really the core gameplay loop of this is secrets and just exploration of levels. It's definitely not a platformer. In fact, you can't even jump. You're just Luigi with his super vacuum, his poltergeist that can also blow out air. You also have a flashlight that you use to kind of look around the rooms, that you can do this kind of flashlight burst to different effects, and it works differently on different puzzles. But the main component of using that flashlight is actually to shock ghosts, because you're also, besides looking at the rooms and solving these puzzles, occasionally you'll run into these ghosts, which are your kind of primary enemy. Different types of ghosts. There's kind of normal ghosts that have a set amount of hit points that you need to suck up into your vacuum. You flash them with a flashlight. It kind of sends them into shock where they're not moving anymore. That allows you to start the vacuuming process. And it's kind of this battle, kind of like a Ghostbusters movie, where, you have to keep the vacuum on them, and you're kind of struggling as they're kind of trying to pull away and get away from you. You're watching their kind of health meter go down. If you pull in the opposite direction with your analog stick, a meter starts kind of creeping up until you can hit the A button, and that allows you to smash the ghost and really do some damage to them. But then oftentimes they'll kind of break out of that hold that you have with the vacuum, and you're kind of chasing them around the room. They might turn invisible for a little bit. So there's kind of some battles, a little battle system there that's pretty unique too. And they kind of play that up in the boss battles that happen as well. So the core conceit of all of these games is you're searching a spooky mansion. And in this game, each mansion level has a different boss, and you can't get to that level of the mansion until you find these elevator buttons. And typically it's been the bosses that drop these elevator buttons so you can advance to the next level and uncover new secrets, and maybe uncover a rare ghost with your infrared light, which is another thing your flashlight can do. So yeah, there's a lot of different kind of things that keep this game moving, that keep it really unique, and I'm enjoying it so far.
Yeah, I like how, again, since you're saying that it plays so similarly to the first game and the other games in the franchise, like I like how it almost is structured or it plays out like almost like a point and click adventure game that you have more like agency over. You do have like an avatar that you're controlling instead of a cursor. Yeah. And then you do, like you're saying, you have these ghost battles and these different like puzzly elements, or just like a little bit of like timing puzzles or quick time event type stuff or whatever it might be. But I like that, because like point and click adventures can, like, a lot of them revolve around like some interesting stories or some interesting environments or vibes or whatever, or moods. And again, this is like, I shouldn't speak for all of us, but I'm definitely a Nintendo sucker. Like I like the charm that they typically put into most of their games. Like I just go for it typically, so to know that they got this like kind of spooky but charming Luigi self-aware humor, I'm pretty much all in. I don't know why I haven't picked this up yet, and it's one of those games that I'm sure I haven't actually seen it on the shelf in a store yet. Sure, but I'm sure once I walk past it, I'm just gonna be like, screw it, I'm just picking it up. So
Yes.
I just haven't seen it in person yet. So.
And to be fair, it's a full price game. So, that's not always the easiest either. So 60 bones. But I'm thinking it's worth it so far.
Not that, time played translates into price, but how much time do you think you'll be putting into this game?
So I'm probably like 4 hours in right now. And I'm thinking the way this is shaping up, it's probably going to be under 10 hours, I would assume. And I'm okay with that because they've definitely packed a lot of love into the environments and kind of how the game plays out. And I haven't even uncovered any of, I technically went to this mansion with Mario and Peach and Toad. You think they would have all learned by now, but no. So they're all lost. So I haven't found any of them yet. So maybe the game will be even longer than I think. But no, I'm enjoying it. I think it's worth it. Other things that
sounds like a great constraint.
I'm always into that 8 to 10 hour range is perfect. There are longer
totally
games
agree.
I love and shorter games I love, but that for this type of kind of semi-story driven adventure kind of thing, 8 to 10 is about perfect.
Oh, absolutely.
Because I actually finished the game.
Right.
It's like I almost never finish a 20, 30 hour game, let alone, 50 plus.
Yeah. Otherwise, I would say this game has really good sound design. Ugh, jeez. Really good sound design. Ugh. Hold on.
No worries.
Choking on a ghost there.
But yeah, all I was trying to choke out, if I can still do it, is it had great sound design. That's all I was going to try to say. And use the shoulder buttons. Don't use the face buttons.
Okay. Because
it's a dual analog control scheme.
Okay. Now, how, not to put you on the spot now that you're choking over there, but one of the things that really caught my eye about this game is I saw in some of the trailers or maybe just some of the lead ups in one of those Nintendo Direct videos or whatever it was. But at least in the first game, it's you're just in this mansion and it's a spooky, kind of cartoony Resident Evil mansion style vibe the whole time through. But it looked like this was different floors of the mansion, or you're in the desert zone essentially, or the jungle zone, or it looked like they had some different, very, very varied themes and stuff to the levels, which definitely caught my eye. I'm just if I'm going to spend 8 to 10 hours playing a game, I like to see a little variety. So.
Right. Yeah. And I will say they've tried to have different themes so far. It's mostly been kind of the same mansion thing so far for me with a slight variation, but I've seen hints that they're going to open it up a little bit more than they have in previous games with the themes as well. So I'm looking forward to that.
Nice. Yeah. Well, we'll probably talk more about this game, I would imagine.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure John will be picking this up as well at some point.
Of course.
Well, any more to add on to that, Randall?
Not that I can choke out, no.
Well, good deal. Well, I guess I'll just move on to something I've been playing this week, which no real connection
silence,
here.
Randall.
All right, sounds good.
I've been playing this game called Kuso, Kuso, and it was just I think at full price it's $5 on the eShop, and it's a super short 2D side-scrolling platformer. Again, even more primitive visually than Anodyne, which I talked about last week. But it's just you play almost like a stick figure, it almost looks like you're playing a character. Some of the visuals are a little bit beyond this, but your character looks like it could almost be in Number Munchers or something like that. I mean, it's really primitive.
Love me some Number Munchers.
Yeah, oh yeah. But the thing that I like about this game a lot, it's a super tough, really difficult platformer, but I wouldn't say as difficult as something like the Seasides and Celeste or anything like that, but it's definitely a pretty tough platformer. That's kind of what you're going for, and it's kind of built around speed runs and stuff like that. But there's a few different difficulty settings. It's just very accessible. Not so much there's not assist modes like there are in Celeste, but it just kind of has. You can play a mode where you just have unlimited lives, and nothing changes in the game otherwise. You just have unlimited lives.
Nice.
And then they have a standard difficulty setting where you have 200 lives to get through the game. And then they have a super hardcore difficulty where I think you get 20 or 25. It didn't have an actual number. It just had kind of little check marks or pluses or something representing how many lives you had left.
Okay.
But it looked like about 20, 25 on that super hard difficulty. And then the other real main, you can just jump. You can run side to side and jump. And then the other gameplay mechanic is that you can just you can place a checkpoint at the press of a button at any point. So like you can place as many or as few of them as you would like. Even if you're playing on the unlimited mode, you can be like, okay, I want to have kind of like a leisurely experience where I'm not under the gun of running out of lives and getting a game over. But I can still like say, hey, I want to beat this whole level without setting a checkpoint for myself. Or, man, that challenge was so frustrating. Like as soon as you get past it, you can just be like checkpoint. So I found myself like I played through this game one time, and on the first playthrough, it took about an hour and 10 minutes. I mean, it's a super short game.
Oh, wow.
But it gave me like a ranking at the end for like how many checkpoints. I just played on the unlimited mode. I think I already said that, but it gave me a ranking for how long it took me, how many checkpoints I had placed throughout the game. And I got D's and F's and everything.
Hey,
and again, I was just kind of trying to play through the game, but it's got like a really great, like super chill. I don't think it was stuff made for the game specifically. I could be wrong about that, but like a super chill, just like, like Jay Dilla-esque style beats. Maybe that's a little bit of overselling
You're selling
the beats here, but it just like really chill, kind of like jazzy instrumental hip hop vibes to the beats, or to the music in the game. And otherwise, the game is, I think, pretty much made solely by one guy, Fred Wood. And it's also comes with his previous game was called Love. And I believe he's like, you can play the original versions of the level in this like independently, but there's also a version like I played through Love and Kuso together, which is about 41 like challenges of levels. But it's pretty much your typical platforming fare. You got platforms that disappear and reappear, like some of the levels in like Mega Man, where you have to like time your jumps and land on these reappearing platforms, or there's like spinning saw blades. Basically anything that's white in the game. Like that are just like these bright white pixels are interactive, and for the most part it's going to kill you. Every now and then there'll be like a white, like it won't be filled in white, it'll just be kind of an outline of white, and there'll be like these springboards essentially, like when you land on them you just keep springing yourself. But it's it's really just precise, tight platforming with pretty tight controls. Every once in a while there's like a little bit of finickiness, but for a little $5 game, again, it's not doing anything overly innovative, but I really like that, like, hardcore, like, I still had the satisfaction of, like, almost every, especially later in the game, like, every little challenge that I was overcoming was, like, that felt great, but I was also able to just casually place a checkpoint, and obviously it didn't fare well for me in the ranking department at the end of the game, but it was just kind of like a nice leisurely experience, but one that I think that I'll honestly go back to and, like, try to play at least... see if because I think I died about 400 times. But I'd like to see if I could maybe do it within the 200 deaths and kind of keep myself, maybe try a run with like, or try a run like going for not worrying about how many times I die, but just placing like no checkpoints and just trying to beat each level on its own.
And especially when it's fresh in mind, that seems like a good call.
Yeah, and one of the cool things too is like I like how a lot of the levels are structured where like the very first level, or one of the first levels at least, is like structured where you're on the bottom of the screen, like bottom left of the screen, and you can see the exit on the top left of the screen, but you clearly have to go to the right, and you have to go all the way to the right, like the levels scroll along, and you're like scrolling along, overcome a decent amount of challenges, and then you got to get up to the upper layer and across the whole top part without and get to that top area. But if you fall down, you're going to end up back at the beginning. Again, if you've placed checkpoints, you can just kind of jump off the edge and fall off the cliff or whatever and respawn. But if you're, again, playing not with placing any checkpoints, you're going to be right back at the beginning of that level, which is, again, they're almost structured like single screen challenges, but they scroll a little bit, but they're like really bite-sized challenges. But really had a good time playing this game, and the soundtrack contributed to it a lot. It was a game that I thought I would kind of throw podcasts on during and whatever, but I was loving the soundtrack. Like every level was like an exciting, like for the most part, again, pretty primitive visuals. The colors would just kind of change. Like, oh, the last level is purple. This one's kind of like a turquoise, the pixels, but really otherwise like everything's just white and then one color. But yeah, the soundtrack was something to look forward to on each and every level. So
nice.
Yeah. So highly recommended, even if only for the soundtrack, but definitely just like a really tight, super fun, hardcore platformer with a lot of accessibility options.
How do you compare it to VVVVV?
Pretty similar. I mean, yeah, I would say that's a pretty good touchstone. I would say the challenge is a little less.
Okay.
It's still tough, but VVV, I actually was playing a little bit of that recently,
Nice.
or not too long ago, and was getting my ass handed to me on some of
as
those.
you do.
At least some of the like special challenges. But I like too. There's just nothing to collect. There's nothing. This game is
Love
just like
that.
just beat the levels. And that is it. There's nothing like, am I missing something? There's no secret areas.
That's
There's
kinda
no
nice.
anything. It's just like, that's it. And there are a few levels that throw a little visual variety. Like there were some that seemed like I was kind of like inside like the intestines of some kind of monster or something.
Nice.
But yeah, there's just like saw blades. Like I was saying, there's dripping like kind of acid. Again, it's just like a white drip, but like it kills you if you touch it. It's one hit death too, which I don't believe I mentioned, but it's and just that instantaneous, like as soon as you die, you respawn at your whatever you placed your most
Which is
recent
crucial.
checkpoint. So
Yeah.
So definitely recommend this one. There for $5. It goes on sale every now and then, but again, just for $5. Again, it is a short experience, but one that I can see myself kind of picking up when I just have a little bit of time to kill.
The short experiences are underrated, I think.
Super underrated.
Yeah. Well, I guess moving on from there to another semi-short experience.
Yeah, let me tell you about a short experience right now.
Take it away.
Well, people who have been listening to the podcast know that I've been playing Darkest Dungeon lately, but, I've found myself a nice alternative to that. Maybe a more pleasant game than the oppressive atmosphere that Darkest Dungeon brings.
A little light at the end of the tunnel, if you will.
You asshole. So saw this game on the PlayStation Store, Linelight. In the trailer, it was pitching itself as like, just distill a game to like its most simple form. And like in this game, you're just this like white little line segment that's moving along all these like branching paths, and each screen you're pretty much just solving these little puzzles, like needing to activate certain gates or like get past enemies based on certain timing and whatnot. And these are, I'd say, also really bite-sized puzzles you're going through. Like they take maybe up to a minute, and the level itself, like it almost like plays out like a constellation. Like once you beat one screen, like you see the path expand, and you're in this kind of like almost outer space sort of setting. Almost, it looks like
a 2D perspective.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I apologize for
just making sure.
That. Yeah. And it's the soundtrack of this game is super chill. It's just like this delicate piano music. It's super relaxing.
That sounds nice.
Oh man.
It looks really cool. When you mentioned that you were playing it, I checked out the trailer. I was like, this game looks pretty interesting.
Yeah. And like, as I said, the pretty bite-sized puzzles, like they don't take too long. Like they're challenging enough, but they're not like, God, geez, I don't think I'm gonna be able to do this. There is some exploration I stumbled upon, I guess. Like there can be some like secret paths that just take you to more challenging puzzles, which I kind of appreciate. Like you'll collect these like these stars, these like gold stars as you go through the game and solve the puzzles, but like you can also find these like green stars if you happen to like be moving like along this path in a certain way, and you discover, oh, there's another path here. So one a really cute thing in this game that I appreciate. So like you're a little white line segment, and there are other line segments that will hurt you. Like there's red ones, there's orange ones. Like red ones will move automatically. Like orange ones will move as you move, which is kind of cool mechanic.
It is interesting.
Yeah. At the end of each level, there will be a segment where you're moving down a path, and like parallel to you, one of these enemy segments will be moving along a path of their own. So you'll both be moving together, but you'll like be helping each other get through each other's paths. Like you'll activate a gate for them to get past a certain barrier, and then they'll do the same for you. And it's kind of like almost I don't know, just very cute. Like, oh, we're friends now.
Like the end of Braid, kind of. Or
that too.
Like triggering stuff.
Yeah. It's really cute. And, every time they introduce a new mechanic, they do a good job of making it clear how the mechanic operates. Like they pace their puzzles, I'd say, really well. So it's one of the more intuitive games I've played, I'd say.
Nice.
I'd say the levels are like 15 to 30 minutes long. So I've done 4. I imagine there's like 8, but
that's longer than I would have expected, honestly.
Yeah. So I'd say I'd imagine this will be within 5 hours, but who knows? Maybe they don't abide by like this standard like 8 level.
Yeah, that just seems like typical video. There's 8 worlds, that just seems like, I guess that's very Nintendo.
It's very Miyamoto. Yep.
Yeah.
But this isn't a Nintendo game, so they could be doing their own thing.
That's right.
Now, are they incorporating any kind of like story stuff into the game at all, or is it just
Not
like gameplay?
Just
period?
Gameplay.
I love it.
Yeah,
I love it. Yeah. And it's Linelight, all one word, correct?
Yes, sir.
Cool.
Lowercase if fucking matters.
Got to make sure for that search engine optimization.
That's
or
right.
Whatever it's called.
I better not see any hashtags capitalized.
Well, nice.
But yeah, it's been a very, very enjoyable, relaxing experience that I've needed after some of the more aggravating games I've played.
Oh, yes. Those experiences are valuable.
Yeah, that sounds like something I could definitely use at the moment, because I went from playing Kuso to playing another kind of hardcore, not platformer per se. This is actually, it is an auto-scroller, an autorunner. It's called Atomic RunGunJumpGun, which is yet another game that is quite a mouthful.
RunGunJumpGun is one word.
Yeah, all one word, and atomic is spelled with a K instead of a C.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Have
So remember that. But anyways, this is another game I kind of caught my eye just because it has like really bright, like neon, like also almost like acid trippy kind of visuals, like like cyberpunk kind of vibes. But it's like, they kind of describe it as like you're playing this like space opera, but basically you're just playing this character. But the presentation is really nice. Like I really like the neon visual aesthetics. There could be maybe a little more variety, but I do like in between each level, they do these like little character vignettes where there's just some, I don't even know if they're enemies or whatever, but they're just kind of like talking trash to you. Like
nice.
I'm assuming by the end of the game, I'm not quite to the end yet, but I'm assuming there'll be some kind of culmination of what's going on. Like there's one character that like the first time I came across, it's like this orange, like just scramble of pixels. And like each time I see this character again, it like is a little more clear than the last time. And I'm starting to like, it almost looks like Luke Skywalker-esque, kind of in design, but there's all kinds of different like monsters and whatever. But again, I don't really see the context other than they look cool.
Yeah.
But the presentation, this is another game that like, I don't think there's a ton of songs here, but that definitely has like just like a kind of like chill electronic soundtrack. It gets a little intense at times, the music, which fits the gameplay for sure. And this is, I don't think I mentioned it's a 2D side scroller as well. And basically you're constantly running to the right, and then you can either hold down, you can remap it to whatever buttons you like, I guess, but you hold down one button to either shoot straight ahead, straight to the right, or you hold down a button to shoot downwards, which will then kind of almost act as like a jetpack. So you're like floating, you're like almost like feathering on both of these buttons. Like a lot of times I find myself like holding down the fire button, and you're not getting any recoil from that. Like you're not like traveling slower or anything like that when you're firing straight ahead. But when you're firing downwards, so it's for whatever reason, it's kind of easier for me to hold down the fire button in most cases, and then kind of feather my thumb on the B or on the jump button to kind of like keep my elevation steady or get above, like, and you're basically weaving through spikes. And some of these levels have, you're weaving through spikes, buzzsaw, all the same shit that's in Kuso.
Yeah.
Just play Kuso.
But it's really like I'm just getting into some levels that are starting to get really tricky where there's like, so the screen will wrap in some of the levels where, so if you go up above the top of the screen, like there's walls and barriers and whatnot, but then you'll go up above the top of the screen and then come up from the bottom of the screen. So it's the screen's kind of wrapping and you're having to weave through. And each of the levels has like a set number of these atomic collectibles, and that's how you unlock more levels. Although I will say, in the first world, I collected all of them, and now that I'm in the third world of, I think there's only 3 worlds. I'm getting to where like I'm barely collecting any of them, but thankfully, like I said, I've unlocked all the worlds already just by collecting. Even before I finished the first world, collecting all of them, I unlocked everything in the game, I believe, other than maybe some of the secret levels, which I've only unlocked one of, which was extremely difficult. And this is a really, really tough game. The levels are super bite-sized, like maybe 15, 20 seconds, 30 seconds at the most if you on the run that you beat them. But there's some, like there's a level I was playing earlier, probably for 10, 15 minutes by the time I beat it. Yeah. And I am getting definitely towards the latter stages of the game. But yeah, it just has like some really interesting, like the chunk that I'm in now. Again, I started saying this, I didn't even get through the thought, but like I'm not only is the screen wrapping at times, but they're adding in water into the gameplay. So like you'll have to get some momentum from above the water so that you dip down deep enough into the water. And then once you're underwater and you use the jetpack, you're actually going in the opposite direction. That's shooting you downwards, because your character will kind of do like a flip once you're underwater. If you get enough, you have to get deep enough. But again, you're dodging, like some of the walls are lined with spikes. Sometimes there's like little enemy like spaceships. Again, it almost plays like a little bit of a shmup more than a platformer.
It sounds like a sweeter version of that jetpack game from way back when. Yeah, a little bit. It kind of is, and it really is fun. And I really am. It's another game that like I'm finding myself. I know I say this all the time, but like I play these kind of games that are pretty mechanics driven. Like once I get the feeling of the game, I end up like throwing a podcast on. But it's one of those that as soon as the podcast ends, I'm just like playing these levels, or I'm one more try, and I end up playing 10 or 20 more. And that, I guess, is just the way I play games, because I do that all the time, but only with games that I like, you know. So
another game to scratch the itch for that, then. That's good.
Exactly. And it's got just a really nice aesthetic that I appreciate quite a bit. It doesn't, like some of these games that have this like really neon, like over the top kind of aesthetic can lean a little too, like Katana Zero we talked about, can lean a little bit too much into like what's going on, or like this is like fucked up just to be fucked up, or whatever. And I kind of appreciate that this is just like weird to be weird, but without being, without like pushing the envelope, or whatever,
without being edgy.
Yeah, exactly, or try hardy. So I appreciate that a lot. So and it's just the controls it controls really nicely. It does default to like using the right trigger for one button and the left trigger for shooting down, one for shooting forward. But I switch it to B and Y, but you can literally switch it to any buttons that you like. You could definitely switch it to, you could play with one hand if you wanted to, for sure. So yeah, a lot of fun, and it's just a well polished experience.
Nice.
Heck yeah.
Well, I guess auto runners are just kind of in the air for us right now, because DJ and I have still been playing a little bit of Race the Sun. I should say a lot of it for DJ. Oh, yeah. But man, we have just been. I can't just express enough how fun this game is to just pass the controller back and forth. And I know last time we talked about it a little bit last week. I'd played just a couple runs, and then John, DJ, and I played a handful, probably for about an hour before we recorded the podcast, but like right before. But there's even more to this game than we kind of realized, and not to say so much, but there's like multiple modes. And I know you've played a little bit more than me, DJ, so why don't you take some of that away?
Apocalypse mode just seems like just a much harder version of the standard game. Like the first region, like I barely got through once.
Isn't the normal game hard in the first place?
Yeah.
Yeah, but
it's a significant
Apocalypse, Randall.
It's unavoidable for you, DJ.
And then there's another mode called like Labyrinth mode. And it's a bit different. It's more of a top-down perspective.
Oh, interesting.
Still an auto driver, I guess.
And I guess we should specify this one's actually like in 3D, and it's almost like from a Star Fox perspective, although you're not necessarily flying. Although maybe in this case, I don't know, but you're kind of just behind the ship and kind of steering. There's more going on than just steering, but you're steering around obstacles.
Right. And with this labyrinth mode, I think you move a little slower, but you're really making these decisions to assess like which path is going to correctly get you out of here. Oh, like wow. It is somewhat puzzly, I guess.
Nice.
And the way that they advertised it was they said that it could be beaten, unlike the other modes where you're just going as long as you can go and just racking up high score. Labyrinth mode can allegedly be beaten. I wasn't able to get very far in it. Wow. Still pretty tough, even though it's like at a decreased speed.
Yeah.
It's still like needing to make super tight, turns and everything. And
just all those challenges, like, so each, like, I think we brought this up a little bit, but now that we've seen more of them, like, there's like, when you're playing the main mode of the game, there's like 3 challenges at all times, like that allow you to level up. And then once you level up to, I think it was at level 25 is the max. And that's what unlocks these other modes.
And like other like upgrades and stuff like that you can get for your ship, like tighter turns, which we hadn't discovered before, which is just like, oh my God.
It takes just a slight adjustment, but then it's like, okay, I got a little more. I can like, for example, like the little in between each region when the bird drops those pickups, it's like now that I have this tighter turning, it's like I can actually get those pickups every time or almost every time.
Yeah. Seems like that would make all of the difference in that game.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and another thing, too, that we didn't really get too much into, I think we might have mentioned the portals that you can end up in some of the early regions, but like they really change up the visual style. Like once we mentioned it's just kind of like minimalist and gray, but like you'll go into this portal, and again, these are newly procedurally generated levels every single day, or every 24 hours, and like you'll be kind of like more along like a river, and like there's trees and deer walking along. Nice. And whatnot, and that's really the only other area I've seen. Or you've been to like some kind of like outer space area. It was
a void. It was still same colors as the normal game, just like grayish, but in a way different kind of context where it's just like basically a bunch of asteroids everywhere that you're just dodging in this vast emptiness.
Yeah. Okay. And again, this is another one that has PlayStation VR support and probably VR support on other platforms if it's available. But right. I really want to try this game in VR. I'm probably going to pony up once Black Friday.
Say Black Friday's right around the corner now.
I know. I finally put it off. So it's between that or the Xbox One. I'll have to see what I end up going with.
Come on, man.
What?
We'll see what the better deals end up being. But I do, now that I have that Game Pass subscription, I really want to have like a console that's just hooked up. I mean, my laptop works okay, but it would be nice to just have like a console. And there's just almost double the games available on the Game Pass console, on the Xbox console than there are on PC. So.
Right. You can stick with Xbox. I'll get PSVR. Okay. I've never done any VR.
I've not either. So
neither have I.
I wonder.
Oh, man.
What if we get
Pixels
sick?
First. We might. That would be a huge bummer. And just drop $300 and you can't play it.
It's pretty common.
Yeah.
It was really sweet when we were, playing Race the Sun, how you were able to see what my high score was for a day. Like as we were going through, like once you get to a certain point where you pass like your own like personal best or your someone on your like friends lists, like personal best, like it just pops up and
It's almost like a banner, like kind of hovering above the map.
Point at which you would beat their score.
Like as soon as you pass this point, you'll beat their score, which it's a really nice, especially like if you have a bunch of friends that have this game, I'm sure it could get super competitive. Oh yeah. So I know you said we misspoke last week, and this game was a PlayStation Plus game at some point. So I know Randall's got it sitting on his PS4. So
yep,
baby.
I'm excited to hear what you think about this one. It's on your PS3. Okay, nice.
Both because it just gets tied to your account from when it was PS Plus on PS3. And,
nice,
because there's a PS4 version, you get it.
Yeah,
nice.
Isn't Sony nice, everybody?
Yeah, I do. We do stand a little bit for Nintendo over here, so it's nice to give a little PlayStation love once in a while.
Love PlayStation.
So yeah, that pretty much wraps it up with Race the Sun. But One other game we wanted to talk about real quick. DJ and I were kind of perusing, just poking around on the Nintendo Switch eShop earlier, and there was a game on sale. Even though we did not buy it, there was a demo available, and DJ picked it up. It's called Jet Kave Adventure, and that's Cave with a K.
Yep.
But why don't you talk about this? I only played for like 5 seconds, DJ, but it look from the little bit I watched, it was like a lot more than meets the eye. The trailer was just underwhelming to me, but watching it in action, it was like, this looks pretty cool.
Yeah, the gameplay in the trailer made it seem like kind of a Donkey Kong Country Returns or Tropical Freeze kind of gameplay, like a 2.5D platformer.
Which sounds good.
Yeah, of course. But it looked like it had like a dash mechanic. So booted up the demo, and it handles like butter. I think. I don't know. It's pretty smooth, like a little more agile than I was expecting it to
Agreed.
feel.
Even from watching the trailer, like I was like, this looks kind of stiff. It looks kind of janky. And in action, it was like, this is pretty smooth.
Yeah, and so you're just this caveman named Cave with a K, and you're just on some island, and there's some like alien whose spaceship crashed, and he discards this jetpack. So you take it for yourself, and so you have sort of a double jump that also comes with the ability to dash as well. So there's really a lot of
it's more like a hover than a double jump, because you can like kind of jetpack for like
you can
not
go
very
a little
long,
bit up, but yeah, it is more for the hovering ability.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, even more of that. I was gonna say even more of that Donkey Kong Country Returns vibe. Yeah.
So yeah, it just feels like maybe a more mobile Donkey Kong Country Returns game. I'd say only the first 3 levels are in the demo, so TBD as to like how good the level design itself is. But in terms of like how I felt going around, like I felt great. Like
it already felt like they were throwing some like clever ideas into the level design. Nice. I thought, just from watching you play.
Yeah, it's on sale for $15 right now, and like I feel like I should just pull the trigger on it. I'm just so used to only getting games within like $10 that I'm maybe holding out that it'll be even cheaper. But I mean, it said it'll be 36 levels, and
oh, nice.
I mean, and they were the 3 levels you played were like decently substantial. Like I would say it probably took you 20-ish minutes to play through that demo, 15-20 minutes or so.
Yeah.
So like the levels were decently expansive. Like at least the levels we play or that I watched you play were like, the visual variety was pretty static, but I'm guessing there'll be like ice levels or different variety.
It's so hard to say without,
Yeah, but the gameplay, I thought they were mixing up quite a bit, and even like just little things like the little touches of like when you're hanging onto a ledge, it's like you can either hold down and press the jump button to let go of it, or you can press the L button to let go of it. Like it has a lot of like different control inputs, and like it just felt very intuitive to play. And like you said, like it did not have that stiff feel that it kind of looked like it had. It was just very like fluid feeling. Like you felt like you just wanted to keep running through these levels, like not speed run them per se, but like you're not really like methodically moving through them. It's like you wanted to keep that kinetic energy, like moving forward and like just plowing through clubbing the enemies as you run by. It wasn't like, let me stop and let me think about this situation. It was like, let me just forge forward.
Yeah, no, very fast paced, and it didn't seem like there were any or many collectibles. I was wondering like about maybe that. One trophy in a level that we saw, but in general, it seems like no, like just go. You see where to go, just go there. Don't worry too much about. There will be maybe some like little hidden rooms that just seem to hold like more. Like food that you can, choose to eat whenever to replenish your health, which is kind of nice.
Yeah, it had like a subtle, like not quite like Hollow Knight, but like you get food and it fills up like these little chicken thigh drumsticks that like once you fill one up, you can hit A to refill 1 heart of health.
Okay.
So a little bit of like a Hollow Knight mechanic to agree with that filling up your health. You're not gaining it by doing, hitting enemies, but.
Yeah. But yeah, I should get this.
I would just say
I liked it.
It's a game that's on my radar because
I was disappointed when there wasn't, more left in the demo.
Yeah,
it's a good sign.
And it's just worth bringing up because to me, it definitely, if you just watch the trailer, it looks very generic. And I've played a lot of these 2.5D side scrollers that like, and demos, to be honest, that like, they have a really cool visual aesthetic or something unique, but like in action, like the mechanics don't feel that great. They feel a little stiff. They feel more like a lot of them that I've played, honestly, control more like the old like Prince of Persia games or Out of This World, that really like deliberate.
Oh yeah.
Let
the animations go through. Yeah,
because it's like all about style, and this game is more like, don't worry about the style too much. It doesn't look bad by any means, but it definitely has like a little bit of a stiffness to the animations, which I think led to the gameplay looking stiff. But in practice, it really felt fluid to me. It looked I don't know, it's on my radar as well. I'm definitely planning on grabbing this at some point. So
heck yeah,
downloading the demo now.
Nice.
Let's go.
Yeah, let's
go. Well, I think that mostly wraps us up for this week. Although, Randall, I know you were wanting to potentially dig into something. Although I think it might be more appropriate to wait for John.
Gotta wait for Johnny. I want to talk more Dragon Quest XI. I'm still being played, about 25 hours through, so not even halfway through, but collecting more crew members and doing a lot more things, and a few things that I definitely didn't mention the first time around that I'm kind of excited to talk about. So
only with John though, because me and DJ aren't good enough, unfortunately, but that's okay.
Yeah. Sets up a nice tease for the next episode.
Yeah. Are you still enjoying yourself though? Like, are you finding yourself like compelled to keep picking this game up again, or is it something that you're like, I have to finish this game, or is it still like I want to finish this game?
It's still, I want to finish this game, although with something new and shiny like Luigi's Mansion coming, that was like, I kind of want to play that a little bit. So maybe a little bit of that like new game shine has worn off of Dragon Quest XI, but it still has all those great values that I discussed before about how, nice it is to play and the vibes of it. So that always keeps me coming back.
Yeah, and that's also just speaks to like why it's so great that Luigi's Mansion appears to be like a short-ish experience. Yep. So you can like get in, get out, and get back to like, keeping that background game going.
Absolutely. And for what it's worth, I definitely will be talking more about Luigi's Mansion as well.
I'm excited. I'm hoping I can join you in that conversation, because I'm going to be picking up this game sooner than later.
Please do. It's great.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing a little more about Dragon Quest. Hopefully next week. Hopefully we'll have John back with us.
Heck yeah.
And we'll dig into a little more JRPG action. I'm sure he's playing some more Final Fantasy. And speaking of what else we're playing this month, for the month of November, we're all going to be playing Baba Is You, although I think we all, other than John, have not played it yet. But I'm probably going to dig in this week. I'm kind of been digging into all these bite-sized, like, twitchy platformers and stuff, and I'm kind of looking for something that's more of a head-scratcher rather than a finesse, edge of my seat kind of gameplay. So even though I don't think this is going to be an easy game by any stretch of the imagination, I'm looking forward to a change of pace for myself. So
same.
So yeah, I think we can pretty much wrap it up there this week. Hopefully we'll dig into a little more Dragon Quest XI, a little more Luigi's Mansion, maybe a little more Race the Sun if we can get Randall on that Race the Sun action.
I will get on that action.
Nice.
Let's go.
Nice. But for the month of November, we're all going to be playing through, or maybe not through. I don't know if we're going to get to the end here.
Yeah,
but, we're going to be playing some Baba Is You. John's the only one of us that's dipped into it. I'm looking forward personally to the little bit of a change of pace. I've been playing a bunch of twitchy platformers and whatnot.
Right.
So I'm looking forward to the head scratching element as opposed to the finesse. So, looking forward to that. But if you're looking for something new to play, you can check out any of our previous episodes at pursuingpixels.com or anywhere else that you find podcasts.
Yes,
just search Pursuing Pixels. We're on Twitter, Instagram. We're always posting about games that are on sale or games that we're playing currently. So, check it out, and hopefully you can find something new to play and let us know what you think if you're on the same page as us or if you're couldn't think differently. Couldn't think more differently, I should say. I don't mind. We can take a little criticism here.
We'll take a little criticism.
But anyways, I think we can wrap it up there for this week, and we'll catch you next week. Take care, and we'll see you then.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, I'm excited to knock out another one and to play some new games.
Yes, me too.
Or some old games. We'll see.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what game I keep eyeing up for whatever reason is Henry Hatsworth on DS.
I legitimately almost bought that on eBay last week. I was talking to Tina about it. Because
Really?
I don't own it for some reason. And it's like one of the only like kind of major DS games that's always caught my eye, but I never bought.
I played quite a bit of it back when around the time it came out or whenever I bought it.
The concept of it seems awesome. Like
it's sweet.
Yeah.
It's really fun and it's intense and it's hard. But it's kind of like DJ. It's like a platform. It's a puzzle platformer, but literally two separate elements. It's like a 2D side-scrolling platformer on the top screen, and then every enemy you kill turns into a block that ends up on the bottom screen, which is like a puzzle game.
Oh.
And you have to like then pause the game and like do a bunch of match 3 because it will like creep up into your play field or something. I forget exactly how it works, but
yeah,
it's really cool.
Interesting.
I need to buy that game.
Maybe I'll pop it in. Maybe I'll do a little 3DS special next week. No, not even 3DS, regular DS.
Regular DS. I know I am like, I was playing Game Gear earlier. I am itching to do a retro pod at some point, honestly, which is like even more stuff. But like, I love retro stuff.